Look at the reaction on कश्मीरियों को सबक सिखाओ, कश्मीरियों को बाइकआउट करो, कश्मीरियों के साथ वो करो, कश्मीरी जहाँ पे भी दिखे उसकी पिटाई करो. Do you want Kashmir or do you want Kashmiri? This nation has to decide. Victims were identified, lined up, and killed in cold blood. Shock and the depression that took over was unprecedented.
Divisive ideologies pushing this narrative that terrorism does have a religion.
Four innocent Muslims were identified in a train in Rajasthan in the same manner. Does this standard apply there? I say no. He does not represent the entire Hindu society.
There is a lot of debate about alleged security failures, about alleged intelligence failures.
We have been saying that 370 has nothing to do with militancy. Who is to answer today? It's en route to Amarnath Yatra. It's always sensitive. It's Pahalgam, for God's sake.
Do you support any kind of military escalation against Pakistan? Hello sir, welcome to the Quint and Quint Hindi and welcome to my show Badi Badi Baatein. Mr. Mehdi, I'm going to begin by asking you a very personal question. I'm not asking this to you as a politician or I'm not asking this to you as an MP. But as a Kashmiri, when the attack happened and the visuals came in which were so heart-wrenching, how did it make you feel as someone who has seen Kashmir and its history all along?
I mean, we have seen violence for the last 35 years, but it was shocking for us. I don't know whether you can grasp what Kashmiris felt when the society, which has a habit of witnessing violence, which has developed, unfortunately, a habit of witnessing violence because of the circumstances, still finds an incident shocking and gruesome for them, and it was shaking. The shock and the depression that took over was unprecedented, as if no one was expecting this. No one ever thought that this violence will come in such shape. Because we are told that the victims were identified, lined up, and killed in cold blood. And that is something uh, the people of Jammu and Kashmir, and Kashmir in particular, uh, was shocked to, and is unacceptable to them. And we could feel how the families, I mean, what they must have gone through. We in Kashmir have been the victims of terrorism. My family has been a victim of terrorism. My father was assassinated in an IED blast. Thousands such examples. Somehow, every Kashmiri could relate with the sense of loss those families and sense of helplessness those families must have gone through. And you could gauge this. I mean, you can sense this sentiment from the reaction of the people of Kashmir who came on streets against this act of violence and called this out as an act of terrorism and inhuman act of terrorism, which is unacceptable to the people of Kashmir.
There is no doubt in the fact that terrorists asked for the religion of the victims before shooting them down. But something like that, in the atmosphere that we live in, it has led to the divisive ideologies further pushing this narrative that terrorism does have a religion. How do you respond to this narrative that is being pushed?
One of the objectives of this act of terrorism for those terrorists would be to inflict a communal divide in this society. And if we get into that trap, I mean, it's a victory for them. It's not the victory for the victims. So it's for us to decide whose purpose do we serve. If terrorism has a religion, some months ago, four innocent Muslims were identified in a train in Rajasthan in the same manner, lined up and then killed for being Muslims. So what's the answer there? Does this standard apply there? I say no, because we know that that was a fringe. It was an animal. He was a mad guy, fringe, an extremist. He does not represent the entire Hindu society. And what is the answer when we have examples of people who were lynched, and before lynching them, they were asked to give the slogan of Jai Shri Ram. Well, once they refused, they were killed, lynched. Do we apply the same standard there? No, it's not the case. We reject terrorism in any shape and form. There is a fringe in every religion, in every society. The examples that I quoted. We do not, stereotype entire Hindu population for the act of that mad guy in that train, for the act of those mad men who lynch Muslims. And we have many examples of that. And we do not stereotype Muslims for the act of these animals. And what is the answer for Sayyid Adil Shah then? What's your answer for him? He was also a Muslim who gave life in the same act of terror in defense of these victims. A few months ago, or in last October, same act of terrorism was carried out in Sonmarg on a construction site of a tunnel where same kind of terrorists came and lined up the workers there, and those workers happened to be Muslims, but they killed them. Local Muslim engineers, doctors, laborers. What's the answer for them? So it's convenient for right wing ideology to pick up religion in such incidents, but uh, for those who want to defeat the idea of terrorism, we do not find religion in these acts of terrorism, be it a train in Rajasthan or be it the incident in Pahalgam.
But you know, Mr. Mehdi, that is exactly what we are witnessing across the country. Uh, the terrorists, to an extent, have been able to achieve exactly what they came to achieve, which is dividing the country further and widening the divide that already exists between Hindus and Muslims in this country. We are seeing videos of how shopkeepers are being thrashed. We are seeing videos of how Kashmiri students are being evicted from their homes, from their hostels. We recently saw a video of shawl vendors from Kashmir being assaulted in Mussoorie. There are lots of such reports and incidents coming from across the country. How do you look at these videos, this virality, this blatant amount of hate mongering that is going on in the country, on social media, everywhere?
As I said in the response of the first question, the incidents that you quoted unfortunately serves the purpose of those terrorists. And unfortunately, we are caught uh, between the two right wings, the two extremists on the either side. Our lives are controlled by them. Our narratives are controlled by them. Our future is shaped by them. One animal chose to carry out an act of terrorism and kill innocents, and the other extreme chooses the incident to create an opportunity for them to further their agenda of communalism. And in the process, innocents are being hurt. The ideologies, those who were in control in Pahalgam, is an extreme ideology rejected by the people like us. And on the other side, the ideology that's in control, who's trying to communalize entire nation uh, on the basis of this incident, is an extremist ideology. We need to stand. We need to find, answer to this. It's for the people. I mean, what is the answer to those people who gave lives for the idea of this nation? People like me, my father is assassinated in an IED blast by the same terrorism. Thousands of such examples in Kashmir, from police, from security forces, Muslim Kashmiris, those who gave their lives, innocents, political activists, social activists, lawyers.
There is a lot of anger across the country, naturally so. But one of the general sentiments right now is that we need a strong retaliation against Pakistan. Do you support any kind of military escalation against Pakistan?
We in Kashmir say whatever you decide that brings justice, number one, and a permanent peace to this nation and to this place, Kashmir particularly. We are for that. I mean, we in Kashmir, we the people of Kashmir are not asked how to shape the peace, how to shape the future. Why do you, pick up Kashmiris conveniently in the times of war or crisis and tell them to shape whatever future course we want to shape or stand for or speak for this. We have no say in shaping the future of this place. Uh, how are we expected to to make opinions or give suggestions? Our humble suggestion is that whatever nation decides in its urge for justice and any method it chooses to seek justice for these innocents and for the nation and for the people of Jammu and Kashmir. Mm, We stand by that.
You tweeted the other day that there is collective punishment for Kashmir and Kashmiris. Would you want to elaborate on that?
In the aftermath of this event, more than 2,000 reported, 2,000 people were arrested. And unreported, as the family members and the villagers say and report, more than 3,000 people in Kashmir have been arrested. Street vendors on the streets of different parts of India have those who belong to Kashmir, Kashmiri street vendors have been beaten up, attacked, stereotyped, called terrorists. Students have been attacked in the colleges, in the hostels. They had to leave the study. Vendors had to leave business. They had come back in search of safety and security. Isn't that a collective, punishment? Houses were demolished in blasts. Houses of suspects, not convicted. Houses of suspects. All right, you blasted the houses of suspects. One can understand. How about blasting the houses of the neighbors of suspects and relatives of suspects? Mothers of the age of 60 years who have lived in Kashmir long before this insurgency started. Unfortunately, they came from across the line, but were married, legally married, have been told who have no kith and kin across. Their entire life belongs to this place, have been told to leave Kashmir. Look at the reaction on quote unquote mainstream media. Isn't that the part of collective punishment? Stereotyping Kashmiris. Every Kashmiri is involved. That is the headline on, literally, uh, headline on every quote unquote mainstream media. Kashmiris, without the involvement of all Kashmiris, it wouldn't have happened. कश्मीरियों को सबक सिखाओ, कश्मीरियों को बाइकआउट करो, कश्मीरियों के साथ वो करो, कश्मीरी जहाँ पे भी दिखे उसकी पिटाई करो. Or the atmosphere is being made so vicious for Kashmiris by mainstream media. And look at the social media, right-wing social media. I mean, vicious atmosphere for Kashmiris. Is it a collective punishment on different levels? Do you want Kashmir or do you want Kashmiri? This nation has to decide. If this is a fight for Kashmiris, then the behavior is not helping the cause. If the fight is for the land of Kashmir, all right, then it's fine. The behavior is all right. The people of Kashmir do not count.
Whatever crackdown that you mentioned, many have expressed that it has the potential to further alienate the people of Kashmir from the administration. Do you think that is something which is a pattern that is going to repeat after an attack like this?
See, and keep this record for austerity and for something in the future. You ask me this question, and I will give you a sane answer, understanding the situation. And right wing will one day conveniently pick that answer and treat and quote that as a threat. He threatened the nation and he threatened the country. And he's a terrorist. My sane answer would be understanding the dynamics on the ground. Yes, this helps the alienation. This will alienate the people from the nation, from the authorities, or whatever name you would want to give this. This is counterproductive. This will come back haunting us. And when we speak of sanity, when we speak of, human approach, when we speak of logic, it's then used as anti-national, it's used as threats. The reaction to this terror attack was very organic. People came out on streets demonstrating against, protesting against this act of terrorism. There were loudspeakers on the mosques through which the announcements were made rejecting these acts of violence and asking people to organize themselves and come out and speak about against this act of terrorism. But unfortunately, instead of embracing that sentiment and then build upon that sentiment, I mean, the establishment chose to, I mean, further, give a collective punishment to the people of Kashmir and further alienate.
To an extent, tourism had started gradually rising in the valley over the past few years. To an extent, in a place like Jammu and Kashmir, which is grappled with the highest unemployment rate of the country, tourism brought certain amount of work for people. It brought food to the tables of local Kashmiris. Now, after this attack, naturally, a lot of people are saying that we have gone 10 years behind in the way people had started warming up to the valley. And again, the questions have started cropping up in people's mind कि क्यों जाना है कश्मीर घूमने? How far reaching do you think are these repercussions, which are not just financial but also social, on the people of Kashmir? Because tourist sites are already being shut down. We are already seeing 50 tourist sites being shut and more are to come. How do you see the repercussions? How far do you see them going?
We the people of Kashmir wouldn't even want to speak about the economic aspect of this. Forget that. We don't care about the economy. And we have seen the rise and fall in the tourism for the last 35 years. It will hurt tourism, it will hurt economy. There's no doubt about that. But that's not the concern of the people of Jammu and Kashmir. The concern is the reaction of the nation vis-a-vis people of Kashmir. The level to which the people of Kashmir are being dehumanized, the stereotyping and criminalizing the identity that's called a Kashmiri identity. That's going to have a far-reaching consequences. And as I said, the reaction that the people of Kashmir came with after this incident, it was the human loss that they felt, the human sentiment, human connect that they felt with these innocent victims. Identity of a Kashmiri and a Kashmiri Muslim is dehumanized to such extent now. It will take years, I mean, to fix that, and for a Kashmiri to live a normal life in the rest of the country.
Families of victims have said that there was no security at a tourist spot like that. There are larger questions that are being asked about how have terrorists from Pakistan, how were they able to enter into the territory and execute this entire attack? There is a lot of debate about alleged security failures, about alleged intelligence failures. Where do you stand in this entire debate?
Another question where we feel to speak, but we know we'll be criminalized. There's a huge security lapse, and Kashmiris will not be allowed to speak on that, to reflect that truth, or to question that security lapse. And especially when Kashmiris were told that you'll have nothing to do with the security of the place in 2019, and we'll control the security. And let us show how the security is controlled. We'll abrogate Article 370, statehood, every right that you had, and we'll control the place ourselves, and we'll show the entire nation how militancy, terrorism, and violence vanished from the state, from Kashmir. And it's been 5 to 6 years now, and you have had multiple incidents of violence, and this was the most gruesome. And who is in control? And that's what they bragged about. There's no militancy, there's no terrorism, it was remote. Who is to answer today? A place which is sensitive already. I mean, it's en route to Amarnath Yatra. It's always sensitive. It's Pahalgam, for God's sake. No one here is able to buy the argument that the meadows and the jungles were unguarded, and especially when you know that there's a U.S. dignitary visiting India. And this place has a history. Whenever US dignitaries visited of that level, Bill Clinton visited, other dignitaries visited, terrorists would carry out in these kind of acts to grab the attention of global media. I mean, no police constable moves with the permission of the people of Jammu and Kashmir or the government of Jammu and Kashmir. Even a police constable moves with the orders of the Union Home Minister.
But do you think an attack like this only gives the government the means to justify more strongly the abrogation of Article 370?
If anything, it should have taken away the justification from the abrogation of 370. In a normal functioning democracy and in a normal just world, they should have been questioned. Their moves should have been questioned, because it's their uh, claim that 370 the removal of 370 will bring end to militancy. It didn't. We have been saying that 370 has nothing to do with militancy. If anything, 370 is an argument against separation and militancy and terrorism. 370 talks about integration with India, talks about constitution of India, the idea of India against the extremism. So these incidents for the last 4 or 5 years stand testimonial to the fact that it was a fallacy. It was a political agenda and propaganda of BJP that 370 and uh, abrogation of 370 will bring end to these things.
Chief Minister Omar Abdullah said that, he does not have a face left after this attack to ask for statehood. Is that going to be the general party line? Will the National Conference take a back foot on fighting for statehood?
No, I believe he meant for that moment, that particular day when the session was called in the assembly, and he said that it's, and rightly so, because the session was called for the obituary uh, and against the act of terrorism, obituary for the victims, and he said, I will not use this moment to speak for the return of statehood. That's all right. I agree with that. Fair enough. That moment, that day was not for politics, and that day was not to speak for the return of statehood. Uh, but if anything, it uh, gives strength to our resolve that the people of Jammu and Kashmir need to have their right and control of the place back, as any other state has. Not only statehood, but entire package that 370 and the autonomy had given the people of Jammu and Kashmir.
There is a lot of criticism that usually comes the national media's way whenever an incident like this happens. So, or what's your take on how the media has covered the Pahalgam attacks?
Media for the last 10 years has been, the part of media that you quoted has been irresponsible. It has lost that credibility to be called media. It's a propaganda window for a particular ideology. It parrots the lines and war cries of that particular ideology, or helps to hide the failures of this government and this regime. It shapes the narrative in a way that the attention of the nation is diverted, and the questions are not asked. Questions about the failures of the government, questions about the state of the nation is not asked, and it diverts. And it's nothing new. I understand that it's from the handbook of Hitler's regime, how his regime managed the headlines and the news and the propaganda. It's exactly what's happening on these quote unquote news channels. They are not news channels.
Mr. Mehdi, thank you so much for giving time to Quint and Quint Hindi, and thank you so much for joining me on Badi Badi Baatein.
Thank you for having me, and thank you for giving me this opportunity. Thank you.